As you write your life story, you're far from finished. Are you looking to close the book on your job? Maybe turn a page in your career? Be continued at the Georgetown University School of Continuing Studies. Our professional master's degrees and certificates are designed to meet you where you are and take you where you want to go. At Georgetown SCS, the learning never stops, and neither do you. Write your next chapter. Be continued at scs.georgetown.edu/podcast.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Experience the action from a luxury suite at Capital One Arena. Watch Ovechkin chase history as the Capitals hit the ice, or catch the Wizards take on the NBA's best. Rock out with Disturbed, vibe with Mary J. Blige, or dance the night away with Kylie Minogue. Premium seating, VIP service, and unforgettable moments all under one roof. Book your suite now at CapitalOneArena.com/premier. Capital One Arena. Watch in style, live in the moment.
You're listening to 100 Words or Less with Ray Harkins. Welcome yet again to this podcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, life, week, year, whatever it is. We appreciate it because we care about independent music, punk, hardcore, indie rock, emo, metal, whatever it is, as long as it came from small, sweaty rooms, because we have been profoundly impacted by it in a very, very deep way. And the person that I have on this week is one of those human beings. I have watched his bands over many years, and I've admired him from afar, and I use this podcast to be friends with him. And that's what we are now. So his name is Casey Watson. He played in bands called Yaphet Koto, Look Back and Laugh, The Old Firm Casuals. He's also spent a ton of time on the road as a road dog in regards to, guitar tech, tour manager, a bunch of other things for Rancid, and then other bands in general, like Lars Friedrichsen projects and what have you. But Casey is definitely a lifer. He is the realest of the real, and we're celebrating the fact that he's on this podcast because Yaphet Koto is, they just recently released a discography. When I say discography, I meant to say splits and singles discography because Ebullition Records, who is a great record label, released their 2 full lengths that are absolutely incredible, but they released a ton of comp songs and, split 7 inches and all that other stuff. It's out now on Repeater Records. The LP is called Seems Our Situation Calls for Blood Loss. I got it recently, probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago in the mail. It's awesome. I freaking love Yaphet Koto. This band was huge in me starting to attend shows outside of my Southern California, or outside of the Orange County area. I got to spend a lot of time in Santa Barbara and witness this band playing their hearts out. They emotive hardcore to its umpteenth degree. Socio-political, like they brought, and Casey and I will talk about this in the actual interview, but they literally used to bring thrift store shirts to the show and screen print them on site. It was just so cool. There are all the things that they did in this particular scene, the Ebullition Records scene, that impacted me in a great way. And anyways, but Casey was a great hang. Super, super engaging dude, very thoughtful, and he loves cacti. So that's something you get to look forward to because we talk about cactus. But I was going to use cacti again, but then I didn't want to. But the plural of cactus is cacti, just like the plural of vinyl is vinyl, in case you were wondering. You can always reach out to the show, 100wordspodcast@gmail.com. I'm pointing at you through the speaker. If you have something on your mind you want to share, do that. I love to get email, feedback on episodes, shout outs, or whatever it is that you want to send this general direction. I read it all and I respond to as many as I possibly can. Also, weekly recommendations. I've been doing this on the show for the better part of a year and a half, where I talk about records that I've either recently got into or stuff that you should be aware of. And this is serves no other purpose than just recommending new music to you. So I will have a link in the show notes to a Spotify playlist where you're able to listen to all of the collected recommendations, including this week's recommendation, which is the Lamb Lambrini Girls. Let me say that again. Lambrini Girls. The record is called Who Let the Dogs Out? And 2 words that describe this: progressive and aggressive. It is awesome punk, like just cut to the bone punk. It's melodic, but super pissed. It reminds me a lot, and I realize this is a problematic band for many people because of, you can do a light Google and you'll be able to figure that out. But it reminds me a lot of White Lung. Like when White Lung first came out, just the visceral, raw nature of that particular band reminds me a lot of Lambrini Girls. They're from the UK. They have a song called Big Dick Energy. Like that just describes their sound in a nutshell. But the record is incredible. The band's existed for a while. I've seen their name pop up a couple of times, but this record really grabbed me. It's awesome. And if you like anything punk aggressive, you absolutely will drink this LP up, called Who Let the Dogs Out, which is, of course, an incredible title. And if you want to support the show by just $0, just your time, 30 seconds of your time, review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or leave a review. Those things help out tremendously. The same thing can be said about Spotify, except it will take you 4 seconds. If you do it on your mobile telephone or listening device, then you will be able to just leave a rating on there, and it helps the algorithm and gets, recommended to the people that it needs to be on their radar for. So that's $0. That takes you nothing besides your time, and it's very easy to do as you're listening to this. So just do it, please. Maybe that would be great. Anyways, let's talk to Casey right now because I've like I said, admired him from afar. One of those people where it's like I follow on Instagram and just like love to see what he's got going on. And I was really excited to have this discussion with him. So let's talk about Yaphet Koto, Look Back and Laugh, The Old Firm Casuals, and Casey Watson as a human being. So let's go. I was first exposed to you via Yaphet Koto, and I was dating a girl that went to college up in Santa Barbara, so fell into the whole ebullition scene and everything like that. What it strikes me about like all of your musical output is that, you're all over the place. You don't have any, specific where it's like, I'm just a hardcore kid or I'm just a punk kid. But there doesn't seem to be obviously the ambition that, many bands have now where it's like, all right, let's like get on the road and get a manager and a booking agent and all that stuff. I'm guessing that you basically just operated all of your bands as you always have, where it's just like the step-by-step process of like, oh, we'll get together a demo and maybe play some shows. And, how do you kind of like react when people start to ask you about your musical output?
I mean, I haven't been asked about it that much, and I guess I probably wish that more people have. I don't know why. I guess I could just be hard to get a hold of or something, but I definitely enjoy talking about it. I'm into all kinds of music, and so like, I don't know. I think maybe subconsciously I haven't wanted to do like a same band that I've done or same sounding kind of band, or it just hasn't worked out for whatever way. But I mean, I'm into so much other stuff. I guess it's been easy to ask me to be in a band also because, from black metal to, 90s emo to oldies, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I think I got off track there for a sec.
No, it's fine. Well, there's no, obviously you're welcome, to go wherever you would like because this is a podcast, but yeah. I think it's like, it's interesting because like you're, all the bands, like, especially like I look at Yaphet Koto as an example where it's like, I definitely saw you guys playing in front of 20 people. And then I saw you playing in front of hundreds of people. And like, you didn't obviously change your show for anything. Like it was always, the same presentation. And there was no, business trappings with any of the bands that you played in. So it just seemed like everything was, I guess like one foot in front of the other. Like, do you ever feel like there was like I guess, an overarching plan with any of the bands that you had, or was it all reactionary?
I guess not really. I mean, not until we started the Casuals, like that was like my first really real experience with a professional band, I guess would be in the sense of like we actually got paid to play shows, like I
Right.
think back to all, I mean, we never had a guarantee, obviously. Like I think back to a lot of those early Yaphet Koto shows, it's like people were passing around hats, like in a basement kind of thing, or like, someone's charging at the door. Like I can't even remember a money amount ever that we got paid, or like I don't even know how we did it, and I definitely know we used phones and answering machines and the old road atlas and figured it out. Like, and thinking back on it, I mean, I'm super stoked that like we did that, and we definitely barged it. We just wanted to play music and put out records. Like, I was not even interested in making money off the band, and I think we kind of made a point not to. Like, when after people like we definitely got approached by labels, like nothing crazy, like nothing where you'd be like, oh, what, no way. But I always just saw like we were, we're doing records on ebullition. Like there's no anything was just lateral, or would have been a lateral move, and like we weren't interested in like taking a step up in the thing. Like, I mean, yeah, we would play to hundreds of people in vets halls or squats in Germany, or we fill up a basement in Indiana. It was
Yeah.
fun. We barged it. We definitely just barged it, and you know I'm stoked for what we did. Like we basically started from nothing, and just through meeting people and playing shows, like it became this thing, and we're still talking about it 20 something years later, which is cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, absolutely. And I think that's what, I mean, especially too with the way that music can obviously be documented now. Like, even though, you and many people of that late 90s, early 2000s generation, I mean, not that that was your specific generation, but when you were most active playing in bands, there was records being put out and stuff like that, but no one was like, oh, where's this going to be in 20 years? It was just like, is this in print? Like, yeah, it is. If it's not, then you're not finding it.
Totally. Yeah. And, yeah, I didn't have a plan, but like the plan was just to go for it and like just see what happens and try and tour as much, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which I'll get back to the music aspect, but just kind of digging into you as a human. I know, were you actually born and raised in Northern California, or where did you come up?
I was born in a little town called Woodland, which is like outside of it's outside of Davis, like up near Sac. My parents met at UC Davis, so after they had me, we moved to Santa Cruz, and I stayed in Santa Cruz till like 2000, when I moved to Oakland, and that's where I've been ever since.
Okay. Got
So
it.
yeah, NorCal through and through.
Yeah, absolutely. There's hella in your vernacular. You're not
Yeah,
gonna
definitely.
not lose that.
No, I still say that. I mean, I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of your language. That's what I think it was when I first started to tour. I didn't recognize there was like a clear demarcation line in California where it's like, oh, once you're above Bakersfield, that's when people start to say hella.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Did you have brothers and sisters? Like, what the family structure look like?
I was a black sheep for sure. Like, very square family. I mean that my parents did looking back, like at the time, I didn't realize this, but my parents did everything for me and my brother, like choose, their careers and all this stuff. And so, we didn't have a rough or hard upbringing, but like, I just clearly remember like around junior high-ish time, like, I don't know, just, it wasn't like the rebellion kicked in, but like, I definitely started getting into my own things that were like completely opposite of what my parents were, and like they wanted us to play sports and do all that, and which I did, but I slowly, from like junior high and getting into high schools when I started, I got really into hip hop, like, the classic early 90s, East Coast, West Coast, whatever. And then I found I found punk, like someone gave me an Angry Samoans tape back from Samoa, and I was like, this is awesome, And like
Yeah.
not long after that, I heard Cro-Mags, the Agnostic Front, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, these guys, it felt like I um, wrote those lyrics, I guess, is like, and you just read them, you're like, what the fuck? Are these guys talking about me? Kind of thing, And like, from then on, it just, the sports went to the side, and, I really confused my parents for a really, really long time. Um,
I can
it
imagine.
actually wasn't like they didn't even like they they didn't even understand, like, well, you're not even making money, like why are you even doing this, like,
Yeah.
or we'd at least understand that. And I'm just like, whatever, I don't want to make any fucking money. um but it wasn't until like the casuals, honestly, they started coming to shows and were like, okay, like, so this is your life, this is what you've been doing, doesn't matter if like you didn't make any money off it or whatever, it's like they definitely have come to respect what what I do, and I've come to like respect what they did, for me as well. But it was definitely like black sheep, just like they had no idea what to do with me. And as I was getting older too, there's like problems with the law and stuff, and that really just like they didn't understand any of that stuff. And but I don't know, it's all good now. Like I've taken him to some taquerias in Oakland, and you know, like, yeah, see this burrito right here? Like this is what I lived on for about 20 years, like this is what got me here. And like they laugh, but it's fun to kind of have a relationship like that with them now, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with, like, to your point, like when you've made it through and you show that, like, because I mean, all that parents, I imagine, are, they're just scared of for you. They're like, are
Totally.
you going to be able to like support yourself, or are you just going to be, either living in our place or obviously like living in a van down by the river, the, Chris Farley joke or whatever. And it's like, yeah. So it's like the fact that you can make it through and then, like you said, just break bread with them. It's like, this is great. You don't need to understand all of this, but just, respect it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. I know you've spoken about in like other random interviews here and there, just like the sports aspect, because that definitely, I think, I mean, I'm 44, and I think like, my generation and above, and maybe a little bit below, there was like, you couldn't be into sports and like punk and hardcore. Like there's a line. I'm sure that, yeah, I'm sure that you felt that as well, where like you had to make a choice at a certain point, whether to align yourself with like the sports humans or, just do your punk hardcore stuff.
Yeah, definitely. There was, that transition period where I was trying to do both. But really like music, hardcore in general, like that pretty much just took over. I wasn't interested in playing sports anymore. And it wasn't until later, like in my 20s, like I actually like friends linked up with friends and played like city sports and shit, like softball, basketball. I've done all that. I played city league, Oakland basketball, softball, and in Santa Cruz before I moved up here too. Um, there definitely was like a thing where I felt weird, like being into sports and hardcore, like at least in NorCal, like it just wasn't a thing, like um, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely gave up sports like in my late high school years, but no
Right.
regrets. I don't care. It wasn't like I was going to be pro or anything, but that
Yeah.
was like that, it took me a long time to like kind of move, like I felt like that like defined me for a long time and or whatever, and just personal head trip issues. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was my life.
Yeah.
um Meeting guys like Ben Sizemore from Econochrist, like he was super into sports too, and so it was like okay, if fucking Econochrist can be into sports, then I can be into sports too. You know what I mean? It's gonna be okay. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
It's true. It isn't until you realize that other people probably have the same passions as you for it, but it's just like, I I think where so many people drew the line was because of it was more of like the mentality, like obviously the jock mentality. Like that's what people did like. It's like sports is cool, just don't act like an idiot. It's like that will be fine.
yeah, big time. And just I've gotten actually less out of sports, in the last handful of years. Mainly when the Raiders left Oakland, like that was like the heartbreaking thing, man. Like it
Yeah.
literally was. And I had season tickets for a long time, and they were cheap. Like, I remember the first year we got them. I think they were $250 or something like that. Like, if I used to tell people, yeah, I got season tickets. They're like, damn, baller. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, they're $250, dude. Like, if you want and just get them, I was like 3 tickets we had for like 750 or whatever,
Right.
and they went up over time. But after that, I mean, that's besides like the jock mentality, just the corporate fucking evilness of these corporations, and the exploitation of not only just the players but the fans mostly. And I was able to kind of be like, well, I can look the other way for a long time, but really, like, once that happened, I was like, fine, fuck this. I'm never gonna give any of these teams any more of my money because they have plenty of my money and they don't give a shit anyway. So
Right.
um, my interest in sports has kind of gone back full circle and waned, but um, you know,
It's cool
it
while it
is what it
lasted.
is. Yeah, yeah, it
Right.
was fun. Yeah, I had some great memories, and yeah, it's all good.
There's so much going on in the world that sometimes it's nice to stop and shop and relax by buying some merch from our amazing friends at rockabilia.com. First and foremost, use the promo code 100 words or less. It gets you 10% off of the top of your order. That's great. That's me putting money back in your pocket when you are sitting there buying the exclusive Gojira shirt they have going on. Or how about like a Gojira throw blanket? I don't care if you're into metal, punk, mainstream rock, reggae, whatever it is. Rockabilia has it. And what makes it even cooler is that it's all officially licensed. That means the bands get paid. You win by getting a piece of high quality merchandise. And then you also support an incredible company putting money in the band's pockets, because that's the way that you then will be able to see them live. Like it's a whole thing, guys. It's an industry. But all jokes aside, I love Rockabilia because they ship from the Midwest here in the United States of America. It gets to you very fast, amazing customer service, and an independently owned and operated business. They've been doing this for 35 plus years, and they have like 500,000 items. I love just browsing their site just to see the stuff they have on sale, just to see the new stuff that they have. It's incredible. So go to rockabilia.com, use the promo code 100 words or less. That's the number 100 words or less. 10% off. Boom. Go.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Especially when you can't anchor it to, like you said, your hometown, where it's just like if you have some emotional connection to something, people understand that. But if it's just like, you live in whatever, Pennsylvania, and you're like, oh, I'm a, freaking, Houston Texans fan, people are just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
I know, like you were mentioning, in your early years as you were, just becoming an adult or not even adult, going into high school and everything like that. Most kids obviously get in trouble in some capacity. I understand that yours was definitely a little bit more, mischievous and severe in certain instances. But it seems like, at least the way that you've spoken about it in the past, like music definitely helped not like set you straight where it was like, oh, okay, like here, but it gave you something to focus on. Is that accurate, or do you feel like, music just was able to help you, get away from the things that were more destructive in your life?
Well, they the two worlds crashed a lot,
Yeah.
and I feel bad for, for bandmates who had to deal with, my bullshit or whatever. Um, but music, it has absolutely saved me the entire way. Like, and even when I didn't know that it was like, um, it was, and like, I've, I just I have to be creative in that way. I just need to play music. Like, and I remember, like, I think it was 2009, and I like Never Healed had pretty much, like, we had people move away, and so we weren't like an active band. I didn't have like any active band at the time, and it was so fucking weird, and I felt I was like hitting people up like anyone I could. Hey, you want to do this? You want to do that? And like, no, no, no. And I was like all rejected, and just like it was so weird. It was so weird. But then, the Casual started up like 2010, and so it's just, I've I've built my life around playing music. Like, I worked like at a steady spot for like 7 years. They would give me some decent time off. But aside from that job, like every job I've worked, it's been like either I have to quit, it's either like, just gonna quit or whatever, or like they're cool with me leaving. It's like the situation I've been in lately is, I could come and go with work, but that's just because, if get the call like, hey, you know, can you go tomorrow? It's like, yeah, I can. Let's go,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I kind of derailed myself there for a second.
No.
I forgot the
It-
question as I was explaining it.
no, you're fine. I mean, I think the point being is that the central focus of your life has obviously always been music, and that's been
Yeah.
the thing that's pulled you through.
100%, 100%, and that's, yeah, like just like I was saying, that's from all the way from work to like everything, like, to even like I started getting into, once I learned, like, after playing with Lars, and like, you know seeing some of that step from the music industry, and seeing what Rancid did with guitar techs, and I'm like, oh wow, maybe that's the career, at least, if I can't make it in the band,
Yeah.
and maybe making it as a roadie or whatever would be something. And so, I've been working as a guitar tech since like 26, well, earlier than that, but with Rancid since like 2016. And, if I could do that full time, I would,
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
though I'd much rather be playing, but
Of course.
still, like, I mean, to be up there and just to be a part of that. I really like being behind the scenes, and I just like all the aspects of, like, there's all this cutty shit that happens to make this one thing happen that, no one knows about it. They don't get any glory, but, I like being one of those guys, definitely. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and plus it's like it keeps you connected. Like, you would probably feel drastically different if it was something where it's like, you're touring with a band that you have no musical connection to whatsoever. If it was just like a gig where it's like, all right, do you want to tour with this, pop artist? And you'd be like, I mean, I can, but like, it just feels different than what it would be like, playing with or touring with friends and people whose music you, ultimately either respect and or understand.
yeah, totally. I mean, I've been lucky to work with Rancid, and those guys have been so fucking good to me. Yeah, it's been an epic experience. I wish they toured more just so I could be out more.
Right, of
Uh,
course.
if anyone's listening and needs a tech, hit me up.
Yeah, there it is. Casey's ready for you. Um, was there ever, as you were like going through high school and, doing academics and everything like that, was there I guess a plan for you that was being set forth by, your parents wanted you to, be a veterinarian or whatever? Was there any sort of life path that was destined for you? But then you were like, nah.
Yeah, well, all through school, they're channeling you into that. And yeah, my parents definitely like, um, they had the sports fantasy, but they definitely saw me becoming whatever doctor or whatever it was. And I barely like once I got into like hardcore. The grades just went down, like everything went to shit. And it wasn't just because of hardcore, but it was because of like just the mentality of what, like I, w- the indoctrination of the public school systems, government run schools just right into that. I saw the rat race trap. I didn't want to, like that was like the time of the midlife crises, I'm like, I'm seeing like people's parents like go through midlife crisis. And I had a good understanding early that it was like, well, they fucking went and had this shitty college experience and got this degree in this subject they didn't want to, and they worked a shitty job for 20 years. Like, of course they're gonna freak out, like I would like, and it's just that the 9 to 5 life just has never suited me, and it's been hard. And so like I still like I work, I do 9 to 5, but like I said, like I work for a buddy. It's a small company. I can come and go. I can be like, hey, if I need to go on tour, blah blah, and it's no big deal. I come right back into it.
Right. That's the navigation that you've done. Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
totally get
totally.
that.
Yeah, and so
What's,
yeah, I had no interest in going to college, like none, zero. And
yeah,
like for a long time in my life, the happiest day of my life was the day I graduated high school, but only because I never had to go back to school. That was
right.
the only reason. And I've managed not to. So far, but
Yeah.
you know, at this point, if there's something I wanted to learn, then that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's
Learning.
my choice. My body, my choice.
Yeah, exactly. My brain, this is what I'm putting in here. This is my choice.
Mhm.
Yeah. As opposed to, state mandated. Yeah. When did you first, as you started to, because I've seen you, or I've heard you speak about like going to early suicidal tendency shows, and like as far as your early experiences, as far as the experiencing shows and stuff like that, was it always like when you started to go to shows and concerts in general, did you immediately want to like play in a band, or was that something you had to warm up to?
I think I wanted to do it like pretty early, like and I had friends who were in bands, like as I was getting into it, local bands, and yeah, it took. The problem that I had was I didn't know how to play an instrument, and so like I had to be like, hey, do you want to start a band? I'll be the singer. It's like fucking no one wants to just start a band with some dude who's never been in a band before, the singer or whatever. So it took some time, and also like I got a guitar and learned how to play guitar basically, and like that was the main gateway. Because once you can play an instrument, then you're a little more valuable than just some dude who can
Yeah,
make
yelling
music.
into a microphone. Yeah, of course. Well, I joke around that usually the singer of your first like punk and hardcore bands is the only person that for one, doesn't know how to play an instrument, or for two, like has some sort of amp or PA, like just has access to it. Or it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
totally.
yeah, Casey, you can sing because you know a dude that has a PA, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
totally. Yeah, basically. Yeah, that was how it was, and I pretty much learned how to play guitar like in Yaphet Koto. Like,
Really?
yeah, pretty much. Like, I played guitar, but like, yeah, I never had lessons or anything. Like, I mean, I think back on it, and I've always felt like I was a pretty shitty guitar player. I still am. I'm glad, I got into bass, so I consider myself a bass player,
Right.
but I still think I wasn't a very good guitar player.
That's fine. I always had, or just in my mind, I mean, Yaphet Koto obviously was not about, technical prowess, but it was always, you guys were good enough players. I mean, especially your drummer, where it was just like, you had like, you were in sync with one another, and that's all that that was the important thing, as opposed to, oh, here's the, here's the virtuoso guitar player. It's like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. And I had Mag was a very good guitar player, so he handled all the crazy licky stuff. And I'm a great rhythm guitar player, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You're like, I know how to do that.
I'll put rhythm guitar next to my name anytime because it's true. I don't care.
Right, of course. Yeah, you're like everybody needs a rhythm guitarist. I mean, this
Totally.
is yeah. I know that much, especially just because of your appearance. Like, people automatically assume like you want to fight everybody, and that there's violent. I'm obviously being a little exaggerating it, but and I know that there has been lore around you in regards to people being like, oh, dude, Casey, like, he could beat people up or whatever. I presume that they're like, how does it sit with you now, the fact that, I mean, yourself, and that at one point in your life, like, you were, probably looking for fights more so than you are now, or vice versa. How does like the I guess the violence aspect, not saying that you're being like, oh, you know what, I was proud of getting in all those fights, but how does it kind of like sit in your head where it's just like, oh man, I can't believe that, I was able to like survive this or go through this, and like, that sort of perspective that you have now on it.
I mean, there's the fact that I never got like seriously hurt or locked up, and we're here talking about it is pretty amazing. Was a lot of really close calls, and I mean, I have no regrets about it. Like, obviously, I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, it's just how I was living and how my friends were living. Like, we were just taking absolutely zero shit. And, it's like, it was happening at shows a lot, and it just bummed a lot of people out. And I do feel bad about that, to a degree, like, you know, bringing people into shit that they were just there to see a show, and who knows, maybe they got a beer fucking thrown on their face or whatever, just whatever it was. It sucks. So I definitely feel bad for anyone I made uncomfortable or whatever. But like, that was, I mean, that was just how we were living, and like, there was fights, and we were doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely, it shocked. I can tell you, like, when Yaphet Koto would roll into town, like somewhere we hadn't been before, like, people definitely had a different opinion of how we would be, and we definitely like blew some people's minds along the way. Just like, we'd be rolled in with shoving carts full of groceries and spray paint that we just stole from fucking down the street, and like, it was just crazy. It was fun.
Right.
So I don't look, if that answers your question, yeah, I'm not, that's just been my life, and I have no regrets, and I'm a lot older now, and it's funny to say that, but 48, and I just don't have that. I mean, I was angry at the world, and I still have that anger. It's just not like, it doesn't physically manifest quite like that. I'm just kind of older and wiser, as they say, but
of course,
it is what it is,
Yeah. Well, and to your point too, it's like, that's how you were living. And like, I think especially too, where the confrontational nature of, especially, within hardcore and punk, of like, there was a lot more political, violence, as it were, where it's like, bands stood for something and they were like, oh yes, it's like, I mean, legendary story of, Ink and Dagger throwing, yogurt at an Earth Crisis. Like, that stuff existed, where it's like, if that happened now, people would just be like, what are you doing? This is insane.
Totally.
But yeah, that's just like how it happened. But I like what you bring up in regards to like Yaphet Koto rolling into town, because I mean I distinctly remember seeing you guys probably like at Coos Cafe here in Santa Ana, and I remember buying a shirt from you that was obviously just like, silk screened from the thrift store. And I was like, this is your merch. And I was like, this is perfect for every Abolition band ever. But it's like, there was clearly no thought. It was just like, oh, whatever. Like, we got to buy some thrift store shirts, and here's our Yaphet Koto image.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we did it. I mean, we couldn't afford to buy like blank shirts, or we definitely couldn't afford to have someone print them, So that's what we did. And we, we weren't the first ones to do that by any means, but like, yeah, we did. There's got to be a lot of weird Yaphet Koto shirts out there printed on shit.
The one that I had, which truthfully, the only reason I got rid of it was because it fitted. It was such a poor fit, where it was like, some Italian restaurant. It was a white shirt, but like I could tell why you guys bought it, because it was like on the back there was nothing on there. So you're like, this is great. Here we go. Screen it on here. Yeah, it was perfect. So when you started to, go out with Yaphet Koto and start to experience like what life was like touring, did you take to that lifestyle pretty easily, or was that, again, that's something that you kind of had to, like learn how to do and warm up to, or was the pirate ship nature easy?
No, I mean, I was a road dog like right away. Like I still am. I still love it. I even love, I've worked a lot of gigs, just like regular gigs out of town, and I don't know, there's just something to it. I just love the adventure, and yeah, totally. The adventure is a lot more comfortable nowadays, which is a whole nother experience. But I've the touring with the bus is an awesome experience in its own way, and I'm pretty fucking spoiled at this point. So
right,
people can say what they will, but I've lived large and plenty of tour buses.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you have to look at, you're soft now versus when you used to tour in a van. You're fine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if my back can handle a long van tour right now.
I would imagine that your body would definitely rebel and be like, I literally can't get on stage because my back's spasming or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely a road dog. I love it, man. I love it.
That's, I mean, just knowing you only from like watching you play and just obviously seeing your life in general, it seems like that was always kind of predestined for you, where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to be on the road, whatever that may mean, whether that's playing in a band, being behind the scenes, like it's just my comfort level.
Yeah. I mean, I would do it. I would do it full time if I could. So
yeah.
Way better than swinging a hammer, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I can imagine. You with bringing up Never Healed as an example, where it's like, because you sang in that band and like you've had all the different experiences of, playing in a band, playing guitar in a band, bass, like every, behind the scenes. I know you said your preferred state is obviously being on stage, but do you like singing or playing guitar better, or is it just like you like them both, but they're just different?
Yeah, I mean, being a front person, there's a lot of pressure, and I didn't like that part of Never Healed as much. I mean, it's much easier to just sing, but like, yeah, just the all eyes on you. Like, if you're playing an instrument and singing, at least you always have your instrument to zone back out on and be like, okay, I'm playing the song, next part, da da da. But when you're singing, you're just like looking at people looking at you, and so it's a little harder. It's a little harder. Just like in other aspects of my life, when I start playing bass with Lars, and like, obviously any guitar player can just jump over to bass, and it's just one finger instead of two or whatever. But like, really, I really like dug into bass and learned how to play bass, and once I've like realized, and it's funny to think about, like realize that like bass was an actual instrument, and like there's like bass, bass parts, like, re-listening. I mean, everything I had listened to up to that point, like I would re-listen to, listening for the bass, and it was like a whole new song, like everything. And I just fell in love with the bass and just everything about it. And I'm totally happy being freaking the guy in the corner, just dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I'm totally, if I could do that, I'd be happy. I don't even care. It's all good. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I
You're like, I
actually
don't need
kind
to
of,
be the center of attention. Yeah. I
right.
understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
I'll be close enough to the spotlight, where you can see me, you can recognize my face, but not right in it where the spotlight's burning my retinas out.
Yeah. Totally. Uh, sort of similar topic. Because you've played in such a wide range of bands, and like clearly your musical taste is, very diverse, and that doesn't, always happen for people. Like sometimes they are like, oh yes, like, yeah, I'm a hardcore kid, but then, yes, I like Joy Division or whatever. But like, it seems that there has been, you've sampled a lot. What do you attribute that to? Because sometimes I know it's like people work at a record store, or it's like, your bandmates put you on to be like, oh yeah, I'm a jazz head now because my, guitarist or whatever loves jazz. Like, is your mixture of influences because of like all the friends that surround you, or did you have a job that like introduced you to new styles of music? Where did it all kind of permeate through?
That's a good question. I mean, my parents listened to a lot of music, and so like, late '70s, early '80s, I was blasted with Eagles and Jackson Brown, Santana, all that great stuff, which I despise when I got into hardcore. But
Of course.
again, come full circle, and that's like I'll go through phase, like listen to nothing but that for like you know years on end. But I mean, I feel like, I've always had like an emotional connection to music. Um, and like songs can take me places, take me in memories, and, all that, which, um, and I don't know. I don't know why I'm so eclectic with music. It's just, um, I don't know. I've never limited myself to being like, I don't know. I don't know if it's even that deep. I've just always, I don't know. I don't think I have a answer. I've just always been eclectic.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me, is because I am I am pretty eclectic. I've just always been into a lot of shit. And when I get into shit, I like really go deep down the hole and the tunnels and all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I
because that,
didn't, yeah, sorry.
no, it's okay. I was just going to say, because like the reason I asked that is, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to, articulate and kind of dig around your brain to be like, I don't know why I listen to a bunch of music. I just do. But like, there's a lot of times where either lines are drawn just because of where it's like, okay, yes, you like One Last Wish, but you can't like Madball as well. These are two diametrically opposed sounds and bands or whatever. But then it's like, at the end of the day, you're just like, yeah, I like One Last Wish and Embrace. And then I also like New York City hardcore. Like these can exist and it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely came up, you come across those walls, as you're getting into it, and, kind of going back to the Ben, Econochrist thing, you meet someone who's like, no, I'm into that. Like, I definitely like remember Kent McClard talking to me about Judge, and like just being like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, fuck yeah. Like I could fucking, yeah, fuck yeah. I can be into Judge and fucking Cro-Mags and fucking, throw on an Indian Summer 7-inch. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? And like
Totally.
little things like that, help open my mind to, like, there's been those little moments that have been like, aha moments where it's like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
So I guess I've been blessed with having a lot of those moments where it's, um, just like being like, whatever, this is what I'm into. I don't give a shit, kind of moments. And yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's cool because, I mean, I know for people like myself and others that can watch, you're like, I remember distinctly once, Look Back and Laugh started to play and obviously come down here a lot. And it was cool where it was just like, oh, dude, that was Casey from Yaphet Koto. And it's like, these bands could not sound so so dissimilar, but like they're obviously both existing in the same punk and hardcore world. But it was just great because it's like, oh yeah, like this one person doesn't have to be, you don't have to be playing, emotional hardcore from now until you die.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, everyone shouldn't limit themselves to just kind of one genre of anything.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be pretty boring. I'm going to do a little, I wouldn't call it a game per se, but like, because you've obviously played in a lot of different bands, but, just sort of like, word association memories attached to, certain bands and projects that you have done, just because, like I said, you've done a lot. So when I bring up, Look Back and Laugh as an example, you guys toured a lot. You definitely put out a lot of music for the short period of time. Like, I mean, because you guys were together for around 3 years, maybe, like, give or take. Maybe a little bit longer.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a little longer.
Yeah. So when I bring up that band, like, what, whether it's specific memories, records, like whatever kind of comes to the forefront of your mind when I mention that band, that's, what I'm curious about.
Like the live shows were just, they were so fun, they were super fun. And that was part of the thing that we like just wanted to do. We wanted to be just like a youth crew show of just people flying around. And like, it was cool because like a lot of the punkers at the time, because the scene, the crusty punks and the fucking hardcore kids never quite mesh, and
Wow.
so we were, just from like the bands that like Brian was in, Tobiah, Mark, like we kind of had that punk audience, so there'd be like hardcore kids and these punk kids, and it took them a while to get it, but once they got it, like we're, kids in studded belts for stage diving and all kinds of shit. Like it was awesome. Look Back and Laugh was really fun. That was a really fun band. I mean, just thinking about it, you're saying, a lot of music in a short period of time made me think, but like we would practice like twice a week, like just forever. And so we'd write and write and write. And that's kind of been like, even Yaphet Koto, like, we started in Santa Cruz, but I think we even started practicing up in the Bay Area before Mag moved up here. But at least like when he moved up here, like, I mean, I was commuting to the Bay Area like twice a week for like years just for practice, and it was just that work ethic that I didn't even realize. I just thought that's what bands did.
Bands did.
Like we just practice, and like, that work ethic definitely carried over really well when I started playing with bars, because like obviously that was online with like a professional work ethic. I was like, no wonder we were always like tight and really good. It's because we fucking practiced all the fucking time, like really all the time. And yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I guess those are many words about Look Back and Laugh.
No, that's exactly what I wanted. But yeah, I do like the thread I'll pull on is with Look Back and Laugh, you guys definitely were able to bridge that interesting gap of the, youth crew hardcore kids, the punk kids, whereas like there were a lot of bands in that era, No Reply, Life's Halt, like they did to a certain extent, but then it always seemed like it ran into some wall where it's like, this is way too thrashy for me or whatever. But it's like, Look Back and Laugh, even like if people were to plug their ears for the music and just like watch you all exist, they'd be like, you guys are doing, Youth of Today jumps. Like it's,
sure. I mean, yeah, that's what we're trying to do for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool.
I mean, the problem with us playing, if we did play a show now, is there's no way I could jump around like I used to. So
no,
I don't think it would be that good of a show.
You definitely were very active. The jumps per minute, you definitely tried to be like, yeah, all right, guys, we're gonna do 100 here at this set.
Yeah, big time.
So when I bring up Never Healed, obviously that was your project where you were singing. What sort of memories do you have attached to that besides being somewhat uncomfortable that you are the center of attention?
Well, we set out to do that band as like we want it to be like a homie band, like, and I don't know that it sounds kind of weird to say because like why wouldn't any band be like a homie band? But I don't know. We just was like it was like all right, these are like our some of our closest friends. Let's fucking do this band and uh yeah, Never Healed. I still love Never Healed. It was a super fun project. We just like wanted to write like the most negative lyrics I could possibly write, and so that was
Yeah.
really that during that time was time where I was really fired up, and like those lyrics just came super easy, and yeah, that I look back at Never Healed like not like a dark time in the sense of like dark being bad, but like it was like for some reason I just picture lots of nights and winter and like the
Sure.
records were always black and it was just it was just darkness.
Mhm.
It was just darkness.
I love our friends at evilgreed.net for a variety of reasons. One, the fact that they are an amazing purveyor of merch and vinyl and everything you could possibly want from the bands that you enjoy. You listen to this podcast, so you know the beat that we're going on. It's cool, artistic, heavy stuff. And that is what Evil Greed offers. They have web stores from a ton of different bands, but I tripped on something that I did not know about. They have a section on their website that is the Evil Greed exclusives. So they're doing like limited edition colors of, say you're interested in Scowl, which who isn't? They have a limited edition color for that. New Counterparts EP, The Last Speed LP, they have limited edition versions of those. And it's based in Berlin, Germany, but the shipping rates to us here in the United States are very cheap. So if you are going to be ordering more than one piece of merch, the shipping costs are great for you. They work to your advantage. So evilgreed.net, go shop on their site and then dip into the Evil Greed exclusive section. I just found like at least 3 things that I personally want to purchase, and I know you will as well. So evilgreed.net and party with those awesome Germans that are shipping you great stuff. Cro-Mags. Obviously, you played with the Cro-Mags for, about 2 to 3 years, if not a little bit longer. That and I mean, Cro-Mags, like there's a million different experiences that people have with Cro-Mags. So for you, because I know you did a decent amount of touring in Europe with them, right?
Yeah. I played with them all over. It was awesome.
Yeah. So what was it like for you to like step into that role playing these songs that obviously had loomed large in your head, where it's just like, were you nervous doing that, or was it just like, I'll just roll? Okay.
No, I was the first show I was going to do with them was Punk Rock Bowling, like one of the after shows, and it was at a big spot. And I was fucking scared shitless. I was fucking scared shitless, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that show, I stopped being scared. It's honestly just like a pinch me moment that whole time playing with them. Like I'd be sitting there playing, just being like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like looking over and like fucking John Joseph singing Malfunction. I'm just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like sitting there playing with Mackie and just like trying to play as fast as we could. And I mean, every show I played with them, at least, multiple times throughout the show, I'd just be like, I can't believe this is fucking happening right now.
Right.
Like and it was such a fun experience. Those guys were so good. I love John. I love AJ. I love Mackie. Mackie was the one who got me in, along with Craig too. Craig he was playing. I started filling in for Craig, and then he needed to spend some more time with Sick of It All. So then I just became the guy. I mean, it was an epic, awesome experience. Like, traveling with those guys, hearing the stories firsthand, and like, yeah, it was fucking definitely just an unbelievable experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool. Two of these are very random, but I honestly did not know that you played with Lights Out. I didn't know. What did you do? Like, were you in the band not for the duration, or did you just help out occasionally?
No, so I filled in on guitar for a weekend.
Okay.
On second guitar, I filled in for James. I think he had quit and moved. Or he just, I think, yeah, I can't remember, but I'd filled in on this weekend, and I know we were at the Chain Reaction was one of the shows,
Yep.
and we're like sitting there hanging out, and like there's like kind of weird band meetings going on like in the parking lot, like two guys here, and then again, the one guy with someone else, and like this is kind of weird, but so they basically broke up like then and there.
Okay.
And so we finished that weekend, and then they either had one more show booked, or they booked a show, and which was their last show. And so I ended up playing that. We had 3 guitars at that show, and that was at Gilman, the final show. And I'm sure it was just chaos, like
amazing.
But yeah, I got to play their final 3 shows, I think.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. It was tight. I love those guys. Like we played with them as much as possible. I think, Look Back and Laugh linking up with Lights Out was kind of that bridge into that scene, And so, playing with them, we were able to play, like we played Iron Age's first time on the West Coast. They had the demo. I think it was Iron Age, Lights Out, Look Back and Laugh, and who knows who else.
Right.
So that was our kind of they were kind of our little brothers, but not that we treated them like little brothers, because they opened a lot of doors for us actually into that world. So yeah, they were our brothers out there. Yeah, Lights Out was sick.
Yeah, totally. And I think that band gets overlooked in regards to, I mean, because obviously every, 5 to 10 years, there's people that look back on the revivals and are just like, oh my gosh, this band deserves all the credit. And Lights Out, for whatever reason, doesn't get mentioned in the same breath as many of their peers, which is, it's kind of sad because they should.
Yeah, it's too bad. And that LP is still good. It stands the test of time, big time.
Totally. And then I didn't know that you participated in Good Clean Fun, which obviously I know at some point everybody might have played guitar or bass in that band. But when did you step into that fold?
So it was summer of 2000.
Okay.
And so basically what happened was they were playing at Gilman, and it was they were on tour for like a year. They had like this year-long tour or whatever,
Right.
And
I remember that.
Yeah. So, they were I think it might have been like April or something of that year. Like they were at Gilman, and I'd known Mike Fight, the bass player, because he lived at the Pickle Patch when we were playing down there. And I've always kept him. I don't think he was living there. Yeah, he must have been in DC at the time, but I see him at the show. Hey, what's up, blah, blah. And he's like, hey, man. He's like, hey, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. I'm like, okay. And he's like, dude, John Delve is going to quit like now. Like, can you jump in and finish the tour? And, it's like, basically they were going to go back to DC. I was going to meet him back in DC, and then we're going to fly to South America, and then fly home, and then fly to Australia and New Zealand, fly home, and then fly to Europe. So I was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Right.
And so that's basically what happened. Like 2 weeks later, I flew to DC. I mean, I learned all the songs. That was like super stressful. But that practice actually definitely helped as later on in life of like figuring out how to learn songs and like remember
cram
them,
it.
cram.
Yeah.
Like, I had to cram with fucking Cro-Mags. Actually, I played a show with Madball. I proudly say, but Freddie had hit me up a week beforehand. I had a week to learn all these songs, and that was the most fucking scared I've ever been at a show, for sure.
I can imagine. I can imagine in your head, you're just like, not only did I have to learn these songs in a short period of time, but then if there's one person I do not want to let down, it's Freddie Madball, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
Or Hoya.
So, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So went out there, and like next thing I knew, I mean, I had to like extradite my passport. I clearly remember that was like the first time I got an email was because I was leaving the country, and I didn't even have a cell phone back then.
Right.
So yeah, I went to we did Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe. Like it was the first time I went to Europe. Actually, it was with Good Clean Fun.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my little stint. I went out with them for like 4 months, I think it was,
Wow.
in
Yeah,
2000.
that's a long time. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
talk about being lost to the sands of time. Like, no one speaks about that band anymore, even though like in a 2-year period, it was like one of the biggest slash funniest slash most interesting things in hardcore. People were just like, dude, Good Clean Fun. They put out the same record with 4 different covers. And it's just like, what are we talking about? It's crazy.
Yeah, it was great. It was great and had its moment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The last sort of random band association, like, I mean, and this is less random because you've obviously spent a lot of time in this, but the casuals, like you're talking about, being able to experience that, a more professional band, did you, I guess, did you like, take it more seriously? I mean, I know you said that, like, yes, I did, because I obviously learned how to play bass better. I viewed it as an instrument and stuff like that. How do you think that, like, approaching a band like that was so different for you?
It was the first time, like, I mean, yeah, the first time I'd done like a professional band, it's like
Yeah.
funny. It's super funny to think about. Like, I mean, the biggest and one of the best things I've gotten from them is just being able to play with Lars. Like the first time jam with them, like, it's like when you see like a professional athlete play in person, you're like, holy shit, like that guy's a fucking pro. You know what I mean? Like you see
Right.
fucking some dude in the NBA play on some street game, you're like, okay, and that's kind of how it was with Lars. It was, just that professionalness that I never was exposed to from any of the other people that I had played with. And just, that was kind of and it wasn't necessarily like a turning point, but just like seeing that and being like, okay, like, so this is how a pro does it,
Mhm.
and just being like, all right, well, fucking, if this is how a pro does it, then this is how I'm going to do it, and like, freeing myself of these bonds of like, staying pure, stay poor, music, it's like whatever.
Yep.
It's not even like, it's like whatever. It's almost laughable that I never even like, made money off any of these bands, you know what I mean? Like, but that's
Yeah.
just what I wanted to do. And it's not like the casuals I want to make money on like that, but it's
Sure.
more the sense of like, okay, this is like how a fucking pro musician does it. And it was awesome. It stepped up my game like a million. You know what I mean?
That's
And,
cool. Yeah.
I feel like I could hold my own, playing with whoever. But yeah, it's been an awesome experience playing with Lars and, getting to share it with Paul and Gabe too. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to get it going again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. A few last things I wanted to hit was the like you talked about with the sort of like business aspect of the bands, like there was never any intention to make these things into something professional, but when you had to sort of interact with that side of the business, even if it's just like, oh yeah, we're getting paid $100 to play a show or whatever, was that something that you like actively avoided with all the other bands that you played in, where it's just like, I don't even care about that. That's not why I'm doing it. Or did you take like, did you book shows? Did you take a vested interest in anything from a business perspective?
I mean, I booked a lot of the Yaphet Koto shows.
Okay.
But like we're talking like at people's houses and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like like
of
that. I
course.
mean, or spaces and stuff, like, and I don't think we ever talked about money with anybody, like we would just get gas money,
Right.
and I don't even think we got that a lot of times. Like I honestly can't remember. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but we did it, and like, it wasn't like we all were like money bags or anything, so like we must have been making it at shows, off the merch or whatever.
Yeah. It's funny because you do these things like, with your bands that you don't necessarily attach to being like a business principle. Like even if you're just getting paid $50 to play a show, but then like settling the show with somebody. You're just like, oh, now I know how to like interact with someone financially to get paid for something. It's just like you build up all these things that you don't even know are actual skills until much later.
No, that's true for sure. And just, interacting with people. I mean, just like, I mean, having the trust to like, oh, this guy said he's going to book a show for us, and so and so, and just showing up and being like, yeah, is there a show? Because you had no way of knowing back then. Like, at least as time went on, you could see if people were posting flyers or whatever. But back then, it's like, you had no idea. A lot of times we'd show up and be like, oh, cool, this looks like a cool show. Like we wouldn't even know.
Yeah, can we hop on? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that my shot playing as a pro band came when it did, because everything had always been so pure. Like I've never wanted to make anything about the money, and I think that's probably why maybe it did finally happen, when it did, and it was okay. It was like, okay, it was kind of just like, it was like, oh, maybe I could make a living off this. Like, fuck it, let's fucking do it. But there's no time. Like the situation kind of fell in my lap, and it was like, well, fuck yeah, let's just fucking do it.
Right. I've built myself up to this point where it's like, all right, yeah, like I've definitely tried the other side. Why not try this side?
Totally.
Yeah,
I mean, for sure. I mean, and like, I clearly remember the day I was sitting there on my couch watching TV or whatever. And I had been like, this was that time where I wasn't in a band, and I was like semi-depressed about it, and I remember thinking like, well, I guess we'll never play in a band ever again, like you say these stupid things,
Of course,
well,
of course.
No one wants to play with me. I'll probably never be in a band again. I guess that's it. And then all of a sudden, Lars calls me. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, hey, dude, I got this idea. I want to do a band. Like, do you want to play bass? I'm like, fuck yeah. Are you
Yeah.
fucking kidding me? Like, who in their right mind is going to say no to
Totally.
that? And so, like, whether my morals, whatever had to shift, pretty quickly, but, I'm a fluid dude, and, I'm eclectic as well, I'm not defined by, fucking one thing. So it really was no question. I mean, it was like, I didn't even give a shit. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're like, yes, let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. Let's shoot a fucking video and let's fucking go right now. Like, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. You're like, let's try all these experiences that I haven't had before. So, totally. And speaking of the sort of diversity of your interests, like you're a mixed media artist, I would say. You like to paint paintings and stuff like that, and obviously you're right, and obviously you're a plant/cacti dude.
I have been, yeah.
Where did both of those interests kind of spring their head to reveal themselves to you?
Well, the art is just kind of. The art spawned from just like obviously graffiti, from doing graffiti for whatever, and just, through the graffiti world, I've met a lot of people who are into art, and, you kind of get into the scene, and I dabbled with art now and again. And, when I've had time, like, especially, post shutdown, there was a lot more time to kind of do stuff. So I got to get back into artwork a little bit. And, with cactus and succulents, it kind of itches the same thing. It's like just growing things and, staging, and I don't know, seeing stuff in the wild too is awesome. I mean, it's just the plants is a whole nother creative aspect that I found. And, I've gone deep down the rabbit hole with Mexican cactus and California succulents and stuff.
It's so sick because I just like it. I think people that get attracted to these, our weird subculture of punk and hardcore are predisposed to then also care about these other things where it's like, yes, I can tell you about irrelevant 7 inches from 1996 and also Mexican cactuses.
Totally. No, exactly. And I traded in my obsession with collecting records, with with my obsession of collecting plants, and I'm a sicko like most people. Like I couldn't just have one copy of a record. I had to have every press or every color.
Of
And
course.
if I could find multiples, I would gladly take multiples. And so like that is pretty much how I am with like my plants too. It's just
Yeah.
insanity. It's
Right.
insanity.
You've transferred one obsession to another obsession, and that's totally fine. These are great,
Yeah,
Like
big time. They're good obsessions for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's much better being obsessed with that than, black tar heroin.
Oh, big time, big time. I've seen where that goes.
There we have it, Mr. Casey Watson, a Oakland original. He is a person who I admire greatly and love the fact that he decided to spend some time with me. It was a great conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So shout out to him for letting me punish him on Instagram and coming on. And also shout out to Repeater Records for making this happen because they, like I said, just released a Yaphet Koto's Odds and Ends discography. And it's really, really good. So you should go support the label and order the LP right now. Next week, I've got a very insightful and interesting conversation with a Orange County hardcore legend, I guess we'll say. We'll call him that. His name is Dennis Remsing. He is the drummer from Outspoken. He also ran Network Sound Distribution and Conversion Records. Both of those loomed quite large in my brain because not only did they release the first Ignite record, the Call My Brothers LP, that was just a building block for me and many other people in regards to listening to, punk and hardcore and bridging the gap between some of the, Epitaph Fat Record stuff and then being like, I like something a little more aggressive. And this, what's this Uniform Choice band? Oh my gosh, Ignite was so huge. Anyways, he also plays in a new band called Minus Numbers. But Dennis was a person that I've followed his music for many, many years. He also played Drift Again. Let's not forget that. So anyways, Dennis Remsing, the drummer from Outspoken, also ran Network Sound and Conversion Records, and then plays currently in Minus Numbers. That's what we got next week. Until then, please be safe, everybody.